Okay, we are getting ready to head on into our first feature match of the day. We'll have some deck lists up there for one. We're gonna have Misplay City versus Dancy Pants here. Let's head on down to the feature match area and see what we've got going on.
Yeah, okay. I'm checking out Dancy Pants' deck list right now, and yeah, that looks good.
We've got some red devotion on Dancy Pants' side, featuring some Fanatic of Mogius as a new card. It looks like you got a pretty easy mulligan here for Misplay City to start.
Yeah, so Misplaced City looks like they're just playing the Bant ramp deck, which we've seen a ton of. Uh, on the other end, it says Rakdos Devotion, and they actually have four Leyline of Combustion in their main deck. So
That's
uh,
wild.
yeah, this is a crazy looking deck. It's a lot of four ups, obviously. Um, but it looks like it could be a sweet one.
How do you feel about all these tap lands on the ooh, okay, talking about tap lands, and probably the best thing for Misplaced City to top there is that untapped land.
Yeah, I agree. Misplaced City's gonna have a hard time if Dancy Pants finds a third land and is able to attack through. But Uro is no slouch in these kind of like red aggressive decks.
Okay, both of our players really finding what they need to get started with here. So untapped land was key to both of them. Worth noting, Misplaced City does not currently have anywhere to really go with what their hand is going on. So they've got a ton of mana and ways to get that mana into play, but they don't have anything to accomplish with it just yet.
Right. One of the funny things about these fanatical firebrands are actually fuel for the Grim Lavamancer, which I didn't put together right away.
Yes, yeah, Firebrand not only works with Grim Lavamancer, which is a new card. Let's put that one up on screen for people that
Yeah,
are maybe newer to Magic or Arena. This is an old staple that I top-aided Modern Opens with this card in my deck a few times. Exile two cards, deal two damage to something. So good with Firebrand. Firebrand also synergistic with Hardened in the Forge here, Annex, because Annex lets those Firebrands leave behind 1/1s after they crack.
yeah. You remember when Modern was about creatures that died to Grim Lavamancer? That was that
Yep.
was that was crazy.
I've often said that Modern's at its best when decks like Humans were the best decks in the format, and that when that's true, Grim Lavamancer is good. And now we talked about Misplaced City needing to find some kind of payoffs for their ramp, and we see them being a true professional here. Easy to see why they're one of our open winners. We have not only Hydra Grace, but also Kenrith rolling off the top here.
Yep, pretty good draw. If I think if Misplaced City could pick a single card to draw there, it was probably Hydrate Crisis, and hoping to lead into more Hydrate Crisis. There's only two in their deck, I guess. So
Yep. Okay.
not
We see that Fanatic of Mogus rolling off the top for Dancy Pants on the bottom. Perhaps going to be able to give some of that extra oomph, kind of like a red gray merchant that doesn't gain life.
Yeah, I talked about how the red aggressive deck should be okay, but it's funny. Misplaced City is actually at 19 still, and I think we're at the fifth or sixth turn for each player here.
It's hard to really tell what turn we're on because like one player has 3 lands
Yeah,
and the other player has 40 lands, which is about Magic as usual these days.
yeah, pretty much.
We see an Uro escaping here.
The Misplaced City going to drop down. Earl going to go all the way up to 22. And the attacks aren't great for Dancy Pants, but going to probably try and make a little bit of headway on this Uro. It's not great.
Yeah, we have Annex in hand, so like maybe we see Annex come down and then we attack with all the 1/1s to get 3 points through, like trade a 1/1 for 3 points. But I agree things are not looking great here, especially with the Kenrith and Play City hand. They're going to be ready to start getting a bunch of life each turn.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty into like playing another Chain Whirler.
So Goblin Call of the Death Dwellers is huge here, and this is largely why we see a black splash in this otherwise red devotion deck here. So we'll probably see an attack with everything here. Because now when we eat the Chain Whirler, we can Call of the Death Dwellers it back, and the Death Touch on the trigger will kill the Uro, which is
It's
good.
actually the only black card in the entire deck actually,
Yep.
main or sideboard. So deeming the splash good enough for the call is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and if you're like again, we're playing with all the information here. If you're Dancy Pants, you really don't want this Uro to start attacking and getting life. However, you don't.
Death Touch, and Goblin Chain Whirler is like, oh come on.
This is This is a defining card in standard and historic at this point. So this is a card you have to be ready for. Ugin the Spirit Dragon just exiles the entirety of boards. This card basically says, hey, every decision you've made this game, I'm going to get rid of it. It just doesn't matter.
Man, what a beating, man. There's only one in this Play City's deck, but pretty powerful here again. As you mentioned, once the board is stabilized like this, just gonna be able to lightning bolt everything down each turn.
Yeah, I expect this game will continue until we see Kenrith come down next turn. Like you have the illusion of maybe I have a chance if you're on Dancy Pants' side, but once Kenrith comes down and starts starting to gain double-digit life per turn, we're gonna close up shop pretty quick, I think.
I watched that video. I think you might have posted yesterday. It had a chart of when the games end, and this is the 100% can't lose part.
Yep, we are in garbage time. Don't even need to see the Kenrith here. We're just yep, we're done. Good enough. Yep. Shout out to both of our players for sideboarding using the appropriate visuals of the pile view and not the sociopath list on the side.
Yeah, that is interesting way to do things. But
never trust anyone who sideboards in list view chat. It's very important.
Taking a peek here, looks like Misfit City has a bunch of Aether Gusts.
I think one of the most critical cards we see on Dancy Pants' side of the board is we see some Rampaging Ferocidon coming in, which is a key card that not only punishes Field of the Dead making zombies, but also shuts off life gain from Kenrith as well as Uro.
Yeah, those are probably the best ones. I wonder about cards like Fry sometimes, but I don't think they're good enough to bring in. They can combo with they can combo with Goblin Chain Whirler sometimes, but that's so much work.
Something that's interesting to note here, we see not only Misplay City, but also our red player dragging their curves down a little bit. We saw them trim some of their top end, trying to get to the board a little bit faster. Dancy Pants acknowledging that they need to get under the ramp deck, and the ramp deck knowing hey, if I stop them from getting under me, I can win this game.
Yeah, you mentioned Ferocidon, I think, is the big one. You got to have one of those. I think I'm inclined to mulligan until and that's actually a pretty solid hand there for our mono red player.
So Forgotten Cave showing us that it's not free on Dancy Pants' side of the table. So two tapped lands there is not really what you want to see in your aggro deck.
Yeah, it's interesting because the cards are very good that are in hand, but the lands just don't help out here.
Yep. The mana on Misplay City's side is, again, not super great. You're in for this Hallowed Fountain, though. It's your second white source in a Sun Tap land.
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't help Growth Spiral, but, a land is a land at this point.
Interesting. We have a new card in hand from... We have Volcanic Fallout in hand for our Red Devotion player on the bottom. What do you think of this one in this matchup?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I probably don't want it as a catch-up mechanic against all the zombies. It doesn't really do much. I mean, it can buy you maybe a turn, but once the field that it start to hit, you're toasted. So.
Now, one upside to Volcanic Fallout in this matchup is you will note that Dancy Pants does have a lot of 3 toughness things, especially their 3 drops, so not all of their stuff will die to it. And then a key feature of Volcanic Fallout that we don't see on a lot of red sweepers these days is Volcanic Fallout does hit players.
Yeah.
So it's not just a catch-up card, it can also be reach in a pinch.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting one.
This one's going to end poorly, I think.
Yeah, and this is one of those, games of Magic tend to swing hard and fast these days. And not only do we have the sweeper on 4 for Misplaced City, but we have a missed 3rd land drop on Dancy Pants' side of the board, and that land drop's a big deal, right? Because the sweeper that Misplaced City had there wouldn't have been a big deal if Annex had been in play to make tokens, and this Uro wouldn't have been a big deal if Rampaging Ferocidon had been in play.
Yeah, any land that was untapped would have been pretty nice there. At this point, it'd be pretty tough to come back here.
Yeah, we're gonna see the ramp deck kind of snowball hard and fast here, still at 19 life, and we're gonna slide right on into garbage time very quickly.
Yeah, this is the cards. I mean, that Misplaced City has are quite good. The Krasis is fine. There's Uro looming, and then there's a Shatter just in case. So, Hydra Krasis can do what it does again. We're up to 19, and again, This volcanic fallout. I don't know what else it could be at this point, but it's just not going to do anything right now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this isn't really a game that, like, you're looking to play Volcanic Fallout for, right? Like, I don't think Volcanic Fallout being live or not had anything to really do with how this game went. I think not only were the tap lands to start awkward, but missing that third land on 3 also meant that they just, like, were too far behind.
Yeah, and you know what? There's 25 lands in this deck, so it's not like a really low land count red deck that you usually see. 25 lands is pretty hefty.
Yeah, you know, this is more of a mid-range red deck too, right? It's not like all one-drop Ski 2 Lavamancer, stuff like that.
Yeah. Display City gets to choose their route to victory here.
We have Field of the Dead there. Staple in the format. What are your thoughts on Field of the Dead in this format, Matty?
It kind of remains to be seen. Like, this card is pretty egregious, though. Like, if there's not an aggressive deck that can punish this card, it's pretty rough. And I really liked Goblin Ruin Blaster was in a lot of those Naya Winota decks, and that card was like really good against Field of the Dead decks. Not necessarily destroying field, but kind of stopping them from getting to the max land.
Yeah, just like setting them behind on tempo while you pressure them with Rune Blaster is nice.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's like massively overpowered, but it's one of those ones I would be certainly skeptical on for a while here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So, they announced Pioneer Masters is coming to Arena by the end of the year, and people often talk about, well, okay, what will the difference between Pioneer and Historic be? And the ban list is one of those differentials, right? So, Field of the Dead is legal in this format because through the Historic anthologies, they're able to print things like Goblin Rune Blaster to give people more tools to attack these cards that are otherwise too good in other formats, potentially.
Yep, totally agree.
So, interesting on Misplaced City side here. We have Kenrith coming down as opposed to Shattering the Sky to get rid of the Ferocidon. I feel like Misplaced City is leaving room to get themselves punked out of this game.
I agree. It's definitely not where I would have went, but they can give this Kenrith taste. They can attack with everything here, and
yeah. Do they? I guess a good question is, do they have lethal? They might have lethal here. I haven't counted. So we have 10. 20. They actually have lethal. I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
13. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was too in control mode, and this is actually lethal attack. We have 14-6, and they have 20 power exactly. And this set of aggression is why hopefully time shifted feature matches work, so we can have lots of coverage today. So. So it looks like round 1 is going to be taken down by our previous open winner, Misplaced City. We'll see how they do in the rest of the tournament throughout the day. Remember, if you're looking for all of the deck lists for this tournament are public. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, the deck lists for this feature match are linked underneath, so you can find lots of great stats on things like that. Okay.